every time that you take a break for this, it's the same.
Oh, I know. It's hard.
It's just like
I just come back to it, right? Ah, yes. The joys of change. I'm in a new place. We've got a new studio set up, or lack of studio set up, and I'm here and trying to find my flow again. I've been out for 6 weeks from doing podcasts, and when you step away from something, you learn so much about yourself. I mean, I have learned so many different aspects and perspectives about myself stepping away from podcasting for the last 6 weeks. It's actually been highly beneficial to me to take a break from something I was doing, you know, trying to stay consistent with. And consistency is great in life, don't get me wrong, but you know, I was really trying to do things maybe for other people to keep an episode up a week, when in reality, I just wasn't ready. My internet connection wasn't stable. My studio space wasn't, appropriate. We've had chickens and roosters and all of these farm animals going on in behind me. But I mean, I love every bit of it. It's really brought me to this place that I am in today, but to take a step away, and we've changed our environment. We moved back to the city. This is why I'm in this new space right now. And we were up at the farm for about a year. So we were in the city before that, then we left, and I took that year and I became my greatest project a year ago. And it was a lot. I'm actually really proud of it. I stopped putting so much effort and attention into growing the things externally from me, and I really started to focus on what was going on inside of me. My thought processes, my behaviors, like ego. I really started to make a relationship with ego, but not just a relationship. First, I had to observe it. So why I would find it acceptable to judge just on autopilot, you know, immediately this little voice inside of my head judges something or judges someone. And I started to observe that thought process and behavior. And I was like, what's going on here? I was having casual drinks from time to time, and I didn't like myself, even though I'd come out of, you know, a massive drug addiction and I've changed my life. I still found it acceptable to do that from time to time, but I didn't like myself when I was drinking. I didn't like the way it affected my vibrational frequency. So I let that go. But when I was smoking, or when I was drinking, I would smoke as well. And that was just damaging to my vibrational frequency as well. I didn't like who I was when I was smoking and drinking. So I removed them. And that really offered me a moment of clarity. So through this clarity, I was really able to become aware of who I was and what I wanted, because I didn't have these attachments to things that would have me avoid from understanding who I am. And I think that's why we do it. To be honest with you, we don't have addiction issues. We don't. We have attachment issues. And people can get attached to all kinds of things. I mean, people are attached to the place they live. People are attached to the community of people they have around them. People are attached to jobs. And I believe that we get comfortable inside of these conveniences. I don't think as human beings we're meant to do the same thing over and over around the same group of people for a lifetime. That's a programming. And that's a programming that has worked very well for many people. Now, I get it. This situation and circumstances for many of us have us owe a lot of money for where we are and the situation we're in. We also have time that we have paid to a company, and they owe us this retirement package that they keep telling us all about. So change is difficult when we've been led to believe that we must be loyal to a company that's going to take care of us once we give it 45 years of our best life. So I can appreciate those things, and I'm very grateful to be in the position I'm in, to be able to have been free from that and make choices and decisions on my own. But I meet people all the time that make decisions and choices to follow their heart. There was an individual I just met recently. He worked for Hydro, which is a really good job. He was a linesman, and he worked there for about 15 years. You know, he had the retirement package, he had the benefits, he had the overtime, he had all these things. And he took a look at his life and he evaluated it. And he said, if I give these people the next 30 years of my life, yes, I'm going to have all the security that society says I need, but I'm never going to get to do the things that I want to do, because I'll get 2 to 3 weeks vacation a year to do them. And over the course of that time, I'll want to spend time with the people I love, so I probably won't get to do the things that I love. And I said, wow, that's amazing that you had that realization. That man quit that job and went on to spend the next 30 years of his life doing all of the things he loved. Now, he didn't have the job security, he didn't have the overtime, and he didn't have the benefits in the retirement package, but the man has one hell of a story. And I'm so grateful for him to have shared that to me, because he found something so much more than job security. And I share that with you because a lot of what we're afraid to change is our employment, because of this sense of security. And I think when we're talking about change, we really have to ask ourselves what we're here for. You know, if you're here to arrive to this magical destination of retirement, I only call it a fairy tale because with the way society is moving and the cost of living and things becoming out of control and chaotic so quickly, we really need to evaluate if that's an actual reality for us to retire. And how much would you need to account for all those variables, all those unknowns? What's really going to have you feel safe? Because I meet a lot of people that are in retirement today and they watch every single penny just as if they were working. So, you know, I talk about that because it breaks my heart, you know, that we've been programmed to believe that our security and our safety lies within our bank account. Yes, of course, we need money to live in this world. I live here too, absolutely. But I do not put any fear, anxiety, and stress surrounding my financial situation. And for many people to hear that, they might be like, yeah, right, man. You know, like, yeah, right. Everybody stresses about money. But I, too, had to face this observation that I was having within myself because, sure, you know, I came off the streets, very grateful for that journey because it taught me about having nothing for so long. But I also did have lots from time to time. But when I came into my awakening and I started to evaluate myself and my connection to something more, I did in the beginning certainly think a lot about money because I was like, well, what am I going to do if I don't have this, if I don't have that? And then I just decided to do the thing I loved and become a messenger and speak from my heart and follow my heart and follow a path that I was creating that would include many people. And I would do that by sharing my time, energy, and my love with them. This journey 4 years ago has brought me to own 3 companies. I've got 8 children's books that got picked up by a publisher. They're going to publish my book as well. I've got this podcast as one of those companies. We just launched Affliction by Addiction, which is a company that goes in to corporate and construction companies, and we work with the management teams and the employee teams on working through what we avoid. So I teach love and I teach human connection. And I don't really teach it. I just bring in awareness back to what we forgot, because a lot of us, you know, we've forgotten what love is, or no one ever showed it to us. So to understand self-love and self-care is something that we don't really know when we don't have a language for it. So I introduce that language back into things. And the thing that pays for everything that I have is a construction company. So it's in a specialized industry, and that's how I'm able to move from one thing to another. But I share this with you because we don't work to be millionaires at our construction company. I most certainly could be. I don't have very much competition in the industry that I'm in, and it's in high demand almost in every occupancy within commercial and residential dwellings, which is fantastic. But my wife and I made a decision that we were going to use the money to get to a place that looked like we both wanted to go to that destination. And being remembered as construction workers, although there's nothing wrong with it, was not for us. That was the same as the man who was working for Hydro. That wasn't for him. And that story that he shared with me was really impactful because it's been the one that I have adopted as well in my life. I do this to get to the next destination. It's a stepping stone. But there are times when in accounts receivable, you'll invoice for a job and that money won't come for like 90 days. So we can have like $400 in our bank account and have to roll change to pay the rent. This has happened a couple years ago. And my wife comes from Mexico. So, money, her relationship with money is different than mine. She has a different experience. But I had told her just put faith and trust into this mission and that everything is going to be okay. And certainly by doing that and putting faith and trust into this thing that was so much more, we were both shown that, yes, the next day will bring an opportunity for you to cover what you need. And I think that why I share that is because taking a risk and taking a chance on something more is something we're really afraid to do. And that is a big part of why we do not change, because we fear the unknown. Me, I get excited about the unknown. I do. I absolutely love it. And maybe because my life was so chaotic. But you know what? That's a gift then. To have gone through all of that addiction and to have been homeless and to not know where I was going to sleep or not know where I was going to eat, but always have been okay. I mean, that's a gift. And that's something you got to learn outside the system. That's something you got to learn within yourself, because you're going to really become very uncomfortable to know who you are and what you can do. And I think it's these comforts that really hold us back from change. And I just bring in awareness to that. You know, it's important for us to see our perspective from a different angle. So when we have this education and we have this information from other individuals' experiences, we can then look at our own life and see how it can be applicable in our own life. This is why I share it, because the fear of the unknown is a big part of why people don't do things. And I got to bring it up. I got to talk about it. I've talked to many people that will create hypotheticals and assumptions of all the things that could go wrong when talking about change. But it's funny how often I've got to be the one that reminds them of all the things that could go right and all the ways that their life could change for the better. But yet staying inside that negative, dense energy of fear is more comfortable, yet completely uncomfortable for their being. I think that's a lot of why we struggle with change in the world. It's because we know that the system has many deficiencies in it. Many, many deficiencies. We have 4 options in Canada for which way this country can be led. And I believe we are lacking a 5th option. And that 5th option is something completely new. Yet 40 million Canadians fear the unknown. And they hold themselves captive to the negatives that could transpire if things were to be different. But me, once you believe in love, once you know who you are, once you've struggled and you've been extremely uncomfortable, you can really open up your heart and your mind to change. And I share that with you because I want you to know that that's part of the process, is becoming uncomfortable. It's trying new things. It's not being in a repetitive nature of doing the same thing each day. This is why we continue with the way life is. But life is changing. We can see it all around us, whether it's weather, people, population, money. It's all changing. The environment. But I believe it's changing for the better. I don't just believe it, I know it. I know that we're moving in the right direction. But a lot of people are slow to move with this change because they're afraid. And this change of what I speak of is a movement. So many people will stay stuck within their fears because the way the system has demanded us to perform as humans in this life to achieve this place of retirement is where their belief system will lie. But for the rest of us who want to see something more transpire, I want you to know that that happens within us. And it's through the way you see the world is the reality of the world you're going to live in. Because for myself, I've done all this inner work. I told you 10 months ago, I went deep within and I really started to evaluate myself from an egotistical perspective. And when I say egotistical, I don't mean I'm egotistical all the time. I mean experiences that dictate I am less, or experiences that dictate I am more, were what got my immediate attention. And that's where my inner work began. And I started using a love language to really understand why those belief systems were created as I followed it back to the experience that allowed me to believe I was less or more. And I healed that by understanding who I was in the present moment. Inner work is actually really easy. It's not hard. It's only hard in the beginning, like anything when we try something new, because we have no idea what we're doing. But I've figured out ways to simplify things because I always take the path of least resistance, even with inner work. And something as simple as understanding that in an experience where you feel less or you fear more, right there was curated out of a belief system as a result of an experience that happened in your life. So you're able then to have a point of reference for you to go on a journey and find out why you feel less in this experience or why you feel like you're better in another experience. Who taught that to you? What happened to you along the way? And why did you create a belief system out of that made you believe that you could be better or less than someone else? It's a wonderful place to begin. And when you get there and you have arrived at the core root issue or the experience, just remember who you want to be in the present moment can break that belief system from the past, because you are not your past. Your past does not define you. I'm proof of that. I'm able to be here today and have these wonderful conversations, but that's the reality of inner work, and that's the reality of change. Had I not made a change 4 years ago when I got out of jail homeless, I probably would be dead, because I was, using a distraction such as addiction to mask symptoms of inner pain that I didn't have a language for. And because that pain was so difficult to carry, I needed quite a bit of that distraction to avoid processing it, because I didn't have the tools and education. So fentanyl was my friend in this life and enemy. But it's a reality. So hadn't have I decided to make a change from that, as many, many people are struggling to do, because we didn't have a language, because we didn't have the tools, because we didn't have the education to see how experiences from our past can shape us in the moment, because we carry that weight from our past in the present moment, I'd probably still be doing what I was doing. But I didn't have any guides, I didn't have any mentors, and I didn't have any books that were helping me crack this. All I had was myself, and all I had was love. I believed in love so much, I had no idea what I was believing in, but I knew it was real, that I wanted to see how far it could take me. That was 4 years ago. Now I still have to go to work. I still have to do the things that everyone else has to do in society. But my life changes. Every 6 months, my life changes. Because every time I reach the peak of a mountain, I'm at the base of a new one. And growth for me in this life is as much as I can take, as much as I can understand, as much as I can do. And I want you to know that you have that same capability. I'm not special. I'm not unique. All of us are highly evolved spiritual beings. And when I use the term spiritual, all I mean is love. So all of us are highly evolved beings of love, beings of light. You are not your name. You are not your body. You are the light within. And that changed my perspective once I understood that. And that was such a beautiful realization that came into my being. But what an amazing thing to think about. We have been led to believe that our name and our body is everything that we are, and we create a narrator in our mind that creates a story for a character to live in, because a lot of us don't communicate about what's going on inside of our mind and what's going on inside of our heart. But you are so much more than that little voice going on inside your mind. And I know how common it is, because we don't communicate about deep things, feelings, experiences, because we fear judgment of others and we judge ourselves, believing that our story doesn't come with any validity. But I want you to know a big part of my change was talking about the things that I went through in my life, because I found education within it. That difficulty that I was carrying for so long that I had no idea what was my reason for going through, was just my strength to be able to walk through it, carry that information out to other people and share about it. And I'm very grateful for that. And I share about that because change, when we're talking about letting go of our past or processing our past, can look just like that. All that difficulty, whether you were abandoned by your mother or father, whether your mother or father didn't love you, whether you were neglected, whether you were a middle child that was always overseen and never heard. All that's education for the 8 billion people that are on this planet. You don't have to get in front of a camera like I do or start a podcast, but you can certainly step into your power and start talking about it, because this is a wonderful way to start processing it and seeing how it happened for you when you're able to share about it, because you take back that power. You don't give that power to an experience from the past. You actually see why it happened for you and not to you. This can change your life. You have the power to be able to do whatever you want to do in this life. And I think it's an important reminder for us to hear that from time to time, because we get caught up in autopilot. And once we go on autopilot, all we do is fall into the same programmed routine that we find so comfortable and convenient. And we become complacent. And then stepping outside of our little world into the big world seems very difficult. So I just want to remind you what you're capable of doing. Because you can do this. And the world is changing. But it's changing for the better. And I just don't want you to fear what you don't know. Because you do know. All of us know love. We've just forgotten. We've just forgotten where it comes from. And a lot of us believe that it comes from other people, or we have to get it from some other place. But the love that we're all actually looking for is found within. And you're going to get to that place by going through the difficulties that you've been carrying for quite some time. Because you are a strong individual, a strong human being that's been able to make it this far. And it's okay to let some of that weight go and kind of see why it happened for you and share some of that education with others. Because if people are judging you for stepping into your power, those aren't your people. And that's okay, because there's 8 billion people on the planet. And let me tell you, when you change the people that you're around for the better to step back in your power, it's going to be different in the beginning, absolutely. But it's going to get a whole lot better. Because you're going to find people that are just like you. And let me tell you, people are waking up all over the world. I do this. This is what I do. I do this in my daily life. Just because I stepped away from the podcast for 6 weeks doesn't mean I change out in the real world. This is how I am with everyone. And I've actually been so involved with public speaking engagements the last few weeks that I have seen my power within the people. And I've seen my power within the podcast as well. And it's beautiful and I love it. But really, the human connection, the element we're all looking for, the thing that comes so natural to us, is something you can all possess to have the ability to do in this life. And I believe that these social media tools really distract us from that. We feel like we're making all these connections inside this digital world, when in reality it's just problematic, because we're practicing a normalcy of something that's completely abnormal. To be connected through digital devices, there's no energy exchange. I mean, I have been told I can exchange energy through this podcast, which I'm very grateful for, and I do my best to do that. I have built up enough energy and love within myself that I really am able to share that authentic frequency with people. But for those of you that are lacking that, you've got to try new things. And connecting with people is a wonderful way to begin to see and know yourself from a different perspective. And I know it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I know it's hard. When I woke up from my 4 years ago, when I woke up from my 23-year drug addiction, it wasn't really easy to be going out from the street and just randomly putting myself out there. But I did it. I did it because I knew it was what I wanted, to know myself. I wanted to grow. And that was something that I had to do to grow, was connect. So in the beginning, I was probably very awkward, and I didn't have language for what I was trying to say, because I was trying to understand my feelings. But I made so many mistakes, and it was through those mistakes that I really began to learn about myself, because I held myself accountable. So every time I said something that didn't come out just the way I wanted it to, I brushed it off. I didn't beat myself up and fall into self-sabotage and self-abuse, because I know where that gets me. I'm not growing if I'm doing things like that. So I really started to appreciate the mistakes, because those were the things that were going to help me grow. And I don't think we talk about that enough. It's a big reason why we fear change, is because we're afraid to make a mistake. But let me tell you, making mistakes in the beginning is a wonderful thing, because you're really going to get to know who you are and what you stand for. Because you're going to begin the journey. It's those mistakes that are really going to be beneficial for your journey. And you know what? I make less of them today. I make a lot less mistakes because I've worked on myself. And when I make a mistake, I learn from it. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but definitely, it comes into my awareness, where if I'm making the same mistake over and over, I'm actually making excuses as to why it's acceptable. And I don't do that. So I hold myself accountable. Accountability is a wonderful tool for change. It's a wonderful tool for life, because if you hold yourself accountable, there is no excuses. There really isn't. It's just beautiful, like you're yourself, right? And it's cool to do that. It's okay to do that. You might not be yourself in a situation where you've been pretending to be somebody else for quite some time. You probably won't be. But little by little, let yourself out of your shell. Break the programming. Go do things that you wouldn't normally do. I mean, eat things that you wouldn't normally eat. Make your coffee in the morning rather than buy it. And maybe that's, for some, you go and buy it because that's the place where you have human connection. Well, you can make connection outside of a coffee shop. I can promise you that. If you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and put yourself out there. And I want you to be reminded of, like, we're all brothers and sisters in this life. The only thing that has led us to judge each other based on these external ideas are belief systems that have been embedded into our being as a normal practice of life. But when you step into this power of love, you'll see everyone as the light beings they are. And I really encourage you to approach situations in that manner. See people for the light they are within, not the vessel on the outside. It'll really help along the journey. I think I'm going to leave it there. It's been a while since I've been in front of the microphone. I feel good, though. I feel really good about it. It's nice. This life that I've created for myself is just, even myself, I take a step back sometimes and I'm just like, I'm going so fast. Like 4 years ago, like I was homeless and I got out of jail and I have all of these amazing things happening for me. I travel all the time and I really find value in traveling and connection, and that's where I put my money. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, and I don't need to be entertained by the external world for mundane things. I cut sugar and I cut caffeine out of my diet. I have a pretty strict diet in the sense that I just don't eat processed foods or chemically altered foods, genetically modified foods. I do my best with it. And everything changed. It was really a way for me to wake up. It was something that I could hold myself accountable for. I also haven't had television for 10 years. So I don't do that at all. And I recently spoke at a conference and I explained to the people that were talking to me about Gaza and talking to me about natural disasters that were happening around the world. And I just explained to them they weren't important to me in this moment, simply because if I was trying to adopt and be affected by the fear and negativity that was surrounding those situations, it would affect my vibrational frequency. And right now it's my responsibility to create the highest vibrational frequency I can so I can share and impact my brothers and sisters that are right in front of me, so that we can actually create a movement and actually do something about what's going on around the world, not just talk about it and not just be affected by what we see on the news, because it's not good for you. We know that there's devastation anywhere in the world. We know that there's environmental impacts everywhere in the world, but we are the ones that have the power to change this. We've just been led to believe that we don't have any power at all. But gosh, man, 99% of us are afraid and confused. But 10% of us have woken up. And we're just waiting for the rest to be motivated and inspired to find the same power that we have all found. And I share that with you with the utmost sincerity. And I share that with you with the utmost honesty, because I did find it. Now again, when I reach the peak of one mountain, I'm at the base of another. And all I'm trying to do is get this movement going so that we can continue and really make these positive changes around the world. But it happens within first. So that's why I don't watch television. That's why I don't take in news stories that aren't good for me. It's fear-based, created around hypotheticals and assumptions. There's a lot of opinions happening on there. So I just bring that to your awareness and your reality so that you can make choices that will best affect the outcome of your vibrational frequency. Because you have that choice. That's something that we all have, and it's a very important choice. And it's been something that's been highly beneficial along my journey of change. So I clean my mind. I'm very careful what I feed my mind, And I'm very careful what I feed my body. These are love languages. This is self-love. This is self-care. Is when we have these practices and these understandings, this is how we grow through it. Creating a love language. If you're in self-sabotage, self-abuse mode, and you think you're less, follow that experience back to the time that you created a belief system that had you feel less, and recognize that you are not that person in the present moment. And make a decision in the present moment to get to know who you are in the name of love. I surrendered my life to love 4 years ago, and it was the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life. I'm beginning to actually know what it means to love myself so that I can love the people around me. Well, I guess I do know what it means to love myself after this much work. Next month will be 1 year free of alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, anything that's impure to the frequencies that we are. I've never in my 41 years been free and pure of anything. So it's a really big deal. It's a big deal because it came with an immense amount of discipline and awareness and perspective and gratitude and honor for myself. That's self-love, that's self-care. I didn't make excuses as to why it was acceptable. I looked at why I was doing it. And I was avoiding uncomfortable feelings or having difficult conversations with the people I love. So I made excuses as to why it was acceptable. Accountability. I want to share that with you because these are tools that really help me grow and evolve along my way. So I want you to be able to grow and evolve along your way as well, because this magical place, destination of retirement is not going to be there for our generation. And for the generation that's already found retirement, guess what? They're going back to work, or they're struggling to watch every penny they have. A lot of people are going back to work that I meet that are retired because they're bored and they don't know who they are, because they've been completely programmed by a 9-to-5 system 5 days a week. So I want you to program yourself your way, and it's going to take time, and it's not going to be easy in the beginning, but I promise you, if you practice this discipline, you will grow into the individual that you are. And that's love. And when you have that love, you have no more fear. Not for any hypothetical and assumption that has not yet come into fruition. You live in the moment. So I want to really, really share that with you because it's such a reality. I'm back. I'm back in this. I'm going to be gone for the next couple weeks to Mexico. So I'll have a gap week in between here, but I'm back. I'm grounded. I'm in my space. I'm in my city. I got good internet. I got good things going on. And I'm going to bring more tools and awareness and education to everyone so that we can really open up more of a conversation, more communication to be able to go on these journeys within, because I'm here for the movement. I'm here for the evolution of consciousness. I'm here for the connection between my brothers and sisters to transpire once again in the name of love. It's so real. And I'm so grateful to be a messenger of love in this life and just be a reminder for those that have forgotten. And I'm so grateful to have remembered. But I'm not the only one. It's happening all over. So I don't want you to feel alone when you step into this. Yes, things are going to change in your life. And most of the people that you know are probably going to change as well, because you're going to look for a new community. And there might be a period of loneliness, but trust me, that period of loneliness is actually going to be highly beneficial to your journey, because you'll need to be able to see if you can sit with yourself alone. And a lot of us find that very uncomfortable. And that's okay. Everything is about an observation of self. It's just because we need to be entertained and stimulated by others, and we don't know what to do with ourselves. So we're going to learn how to try new things and understand ourselves from many different perspectives. Yeah. It's crazy. I just think about it now. I'm just like, wow, like the journey, man, like it's just wild. Like, you know, if I can be inspiration for you to change in your life, good Lord, man. Like, I don't work for nobody. I don't worry about money. I share my money with other people. I don't really put a lot of value in accumulating all these ones and zeros so I can have more than other people, because I evaluate that. That's not my idea of success. My idea of success is a movement, an evolution. And I'm just so grateful for it. So I'm going to talk a lot about my practices and tools, and I'm going to bring people on that are doing the same thing, because anything I can do to help you grow, this is what I'm here for. If you're listening on Spotify, if you would go in, and I don't really ask people to do this a lot, but I don't really like to ask for things, but I'm learning more about these algorithms and how they work. If you would go into my Spotify or whatever podcast platform you listen on, and you would rate and review the podcast, that really helps me out. It boosts it in the ratings, and it gets me more, gets the podcast more publicity. And it's not about me. None of this is about me. I am purely a messenger of love and light, and for you to step into your truth and power. That's all I am. This is never about me or popularity. I actually, I put a lot of work into being humble. It's something that I work at, and it's a discipline, because I can see how quickly things can become imbalanced in one's life. But again, I made a relationship with ego, and I know who I am, and I know why I'm here. So when I ask for these things, I just want to bring clarity to that, because it helps keep me where I want it to be as well. But again, even with the YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, if you can subscribe, hit the bell, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what you have to do on there, but I do know those things help me out. And to follow the social links, Real Talk for an Unreal World is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and those things. I'm trying to think, do I have any other ones? Social media is difficult for me, but I'm getting better at it, and we're going to work in some way to keep things more consistent, just to bring more clarity. But I probably won't. I'll probably just keep doing, and what I meant by that is I'll probably pay someone to do it, but no, I probably won't. I've been going back and forth with this in my mind, and I was like, no, why would I do that? I'll just do it when I do it, and that's how we do it. You know what I mean? But now that I'm back, I'm going to put more time into doing the shorts and reels, get that back up for everybody, make that something people can connect with again, build up this whole follower view thing again. You drop out of the algorithm system, but that's okay. And my email is realtalkforanunrealworld@gmail.com. Shoot me an email if you got something to talk about or anything like that. Also, with the social links, like any of my platforms, you can send me messages on there. I actually have people from all over the world send me messages, and I help them through things they may need to see from another angle. I've got a lot of experience and a lot of education from that 23 years of learning very difficult experiences, but that's not just with drugs. That's with psychology. Like I learned about the human mind and our patterns and behaviors and our belief systems. So anything that you've got that you're struggling to see from another angle, just throw it at me. I mean, it's best when we can work things out together, and it'll push you to step outside of your comfort zone and talk about it. So I saw that at these conferences I was at, a lot of people just needed to, they wanted to just wish me well or whatever, and then they had something personal in their life, and we just had a few minutes of a conversation, and people came to me afterwards, and they were just like, man, like that's really all I needed, was just to get it out. So if I can be someone that you can trust and feel comfortable with, because I share my journey and I'm vulnerable within my story, please, 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 that's why I do this. So all the love to you, everyone. All the love. I really mean that. Like it's happening. We're evolving. This is real. So don't be afraid of change, because there's going to be a lot of change coming up in the near future, and I want you to be prepared for that. That's why I talk about it. That's why seeing yourself from a different angle right now is the only seed that I'm trying to plant. What you do with these seeds, and if you water them, that'll be up to you. But it was through my action that I actually made and succeeded in this change of my life. So remember, thoughts are just thoughts until they become actions, and you have the power to do anything you want in this life. Much love for being here at this very difficult time, and much love for seeing each other for the light within.